It's a rainy day here in Tokyo, but that's not going to stop me from checking out as many card shops as I can today. The last time I made a video about card shops in Japan, I got a ton of requests about Tokyo, people asking me, do this again, tell me about the card shops in Tokyo. So today, that's exactly what we're doing. If you go on the Magic Events Locator, you'll see shops spread all over the city. So you can find card shops just about anywhere in the city, but for the most part, I think there are a lot of card shops concentrated in two specific areas. I'm going to take you to those two areas in a bit, but first we're going to start with the biggest and potentially the best Haruya Tournament Center, which is coming up right here. Haruya is, I think, Japan's biggest chain of Magic the Gathering specific card shops. They're all over the country and there are a ton of them actually scattered all over Tokyo. But this one right here is the Tournament Center. It's the flagship store. It's the biggest one. And I've actually never been here, so I'm excited to head in and see what we can find. Second floor, third floor, and in the basement they have a workspace. I don't know if that workspace is public, but we'll go see. We'll see after this. It might be hard to tell from the video, but this is easily the biggest Haruya in Japan. It's called the Tournament Center, and there's a huge play space in the back that probably gets completely filled during events. There are dozens of bulk bins and multiple rows of showcases that house cards in less than mint condition, and this is where you want to be if you're looking for good deals. These cards are graded anywhere from slightly played to damaged, but Japan is notorious for taking good care of their stuff, so the grades always feel a step above the US. I mean, look at this 7th edition Elvish Champion that's rated highly played. I can't even see anything wrong with it from here. The cases are organized and labeled so it's easy to look for specific cards. For this shop, artifacts are sorted by mana value, while colored cards are sorted by type. And since we're in Tokyo, you'll find a good amount of English cards available. Consecrated Sphinx was $19, Mystical Tutors were as cheap as $7, but Cunning Wish was actually priced above US market price. That's because 60 card formats are more popular in Japan, so anything that gets played in Legacy, Modern, or Standard will generally be more expensive. Commander isn't as big in Japan, so you can usually get really good deals on cards that mainly see play in EDH. Speaking of which, Commander-specific products are also less common here, so finding cards like Will of the Abzan is a rare occurrence. Insurrection was available a couple bucks below market price, as was World at War, while Dragonstorm was at or above market. This Haruya had a bunch of good deals on English sealed booster packs. Ravnica was $13, Saviors of Kamigawa was $10, Fifth Dawn $13, Darksteel $30, Hour of Devastation for $4, and even Spanish Ixalan packs for $4 as well. Now, my favorite place to look for cards is in the bulk trays. These are all sorted by color and mana value, and during this trip I'm specifically looking for cards for a Reanimator deck, so I've been focusing my hunt on high mana black and red creatures. There are like half a dozen trays of high cost cards for each color, so I grabbed my AirPods and settled in to start flicking through the bulk. The base price in these bins is 30 yen, which is just 20 cents US. Some cards will have a price tag ranging from 50 up to 250 yen, which is $1.66 at the high end. And since I love building budget decks, this is my favorite place to find cards in Japan. The last place to look is the PC, where you'll find the store's full inventory. The cards here are usually all near mint condition, so you won't get the same deals as the showcases, but if you're looking for specific cards, searching here is the easiest way to find them. And even in mint condition, sometimes they're just good deals. Mithril Coat, for example, was about $5 below market value, but a couple Commander set cards were above US price. Again, those sets are rare here, so it's harder to get a good deal. I submitted an order and waited for my number to be called, and then headed up to the register with a huge stack of bulk Reanimator targets. This is easily the most bulk I found at any shop during my trip, and I really only looked through 10% of the bins. If you're looking for budget cards, this is the place to go. Oh, and most Haruya stores have free bulk that you can literally just take with you when you leave. I grabbed one last time I was here, and I was really surprised by what I found in it. Should I release that video? Anyway, I checked the third floor and basement, but they were both for staff only, so it was on to the next shop, which is actually right across the street. This is Nukenin, and if Haruya is Starbucks, this is your neighborhood coffee shop. It's a lot more low-key, way quieter, and the vibe felt a lot more local. They didn't have much on display, but I checked out the PC inventory. They had a decent amount of English, including Ancient Brass Dragon for $25, which is the cheapest I've seen anywhere on this trip. They had a few trays of bulk singles as well, so I took a bit of time to dig through. Ultimately, I didn't find anything I needed, but if you're going to Haruya Tournament Center, you might as well check out Nukanin as well. Right down the street, I was surprised to find another Haruya, but I figured out why right away. This one is for everything but Magic. They stocked all the other TCGs that you might normally find at Japanese card shops, so unless you're looking for other games, you can skip this one. Okay, from here at Takada no Baba, we're going to take the Yamanote line just a few stops north to Ikebukuro, which is the first area that you're going to find a good concentration of card shops all together. It's only a couple stops to Ikebukuro, which I think is a pretty underrated district among travelers. There are a ton of good shops and restaurants in this area, including these next few card shops. First up is Mint Games, which carries a lot of different TCGs, including a decent selection of Magic. Ophidian Eye was half of US market price and surprisingly cheaper in English than in Japanese. There were a pair of Japanese Ristic Studies for just $21 each, and 3 English copies for $33 each. Cards were sorted by set, with most of the newer sets skewing heavily towards Japanese. In the back they had some bulk bins, which I missed the first time I came here last year. There was even a box specifically for EDH staples. There were definitely some cards that I love playing in Commander, but none that I actually needed another copy of. The next shop in Ikebukuro is Yellow Submarine, hidden in the trees. This one's Magic section is in the back right corner. Cards are sorted by set for standard and then by color for older cards. It's usually a good sign at a shop when you see English and Japanese cards priced the same, but in this case it seemed like both versions were overpriced. In general, singles in the case were a bit more expensive here. I still spent a bit of time checking out the bulk for anything I might want, but didn't find anything there either. I have found and bought cards here before though, so it's still worth checking to see what's in stock. The next shop was really difficult to find. This sign was the only indication that it was here, but I did a lap and found out that they don't carry Magic anymore, so don't try too hard to find it yourself. Next up is Big Magic, another chain of shops in Japan. It's on the 6th floor, which is really common with shops in Japan, so make sure you're checking that when you look up a shop's address on Google Maps. They had a pretty interesting case with playsets of staples for different formats, but among the singles, I didn't find anything that stood out as a particularly good deal. They did have a case full of boosters, and I kinda messed up this clip, but if you're into sealed product, it's worth checking out. They also had a case for foils, which isn't really my style, but again, if you like shiny cards, hit them up. They do have iPads with their full searchable inventory, but in the past I've had trouble ordering from these. Sometimes I'll add a card to my cart only to find out that they don't actually have it in stock, but I could just be doing something wrong since it's all in Japanese. Now, it was starting to get dark, and we still have the best neighborhood for card shops to explore, so I headed back to the train station. The last area we're heading to today has the most card shops in one place of honestly anywhere I've been in the entire world. It's Akihabara, and if you are a nerd of any kind, if you like trading cards, video games, anime, maid cafes, whatever it is, you will find a lot of it here. Most of the time you'd probably be getting here through Akihabara Station, but this time I'm actually coming in from the backside because there's a couple card shops out here on the edge of Akihabara that I haven't checked out yet. So let's go see if they're any good. You've heard of Hard Off, now here's Card On. I spotted the Magic case on the way in and headed down to check it out. They had a big spread of Magic with prices that were kind of all over the place. Force of Will was slightly above market price, Snapcaster Mage was right about market, but they had Psychic Possession and Jin Gitaxias at less than half of market price. There was a Gate to Phyrexia in decent condition for $38, but Orcish Bowmasters was $15 over market. The Stronghold Grave Pact was $10, about half of market price. This Beta Wheel of Fortune was $2,659, with the Italian foreign black border version behind it priced at $345, which is over $100 cheaper than any listed on TCG Player, and half the cost of the average listing. Gaia's Cradles were about $660, which is a great deal if you don't mind playing Japanese cards. Above the case, there was a sealed box of Mirage starter decks for $2,000, which is literally half the price of the cheapest TCG Player listing. At the back of the store, there were bulk bins for all the different games they carried, including Magic. I grabbed one to take a quick look, and cards were priced by the color of the sleeve from 20 yen all the way up to 500. That's about 12 cents up to $3.30. I went through a couple bins and there was a really wide variety of cards, but they weren't sorted at all and there were still so many more shops to see, so I packed up and headed to the next one. It's called Azumaya and it's pretty nondescript, but it's on the 3rd floor of this building. It was a pretty small shop, but they had a stacked display case including a PSA 10 Guru Island for $2,600 and a bunch of other retro foils. There were 4th edition boosters for $23, though I couldn't see if they were in English or Japanese. The duels were all below US market price, and if you're a vintage collector, this is probably a shop worth checking out. There were quite a few sealed booster boxes, including Ice Age, Mercadian Masks, and Odyssey. I didn't get to spend much time in the bulk, but it seemed like there wasn't a lot of English. I checked the PC inventory and it felt similar, although to be fair, I didn't look up that many cards. Alright, we're in the heart of Akihabara now, and next up is Amenity Dream. It's another chain that you can find all over the country, but this one's a little hard to find. This is the sign to look for, and the Magic cards are on the 6th floor. They have both English and Japanese, and the position of the price tag will tell you which is which. Their cases are sorted chronologically, and they usually have a decent selection of older cards. There's also bulk sorted either by set or by color, and lastly there's a big display full of boosters, though most of these are in Japanese. In the past, I've found good deals in their sale box by the door, but there wasn't anything particularly exciting this time. The next shop is called Card Wings, and the Magic is on one of the higher floors. Right up front, there's a case of special price singles with yellow tags. I spotted a Raffellos for $24, Judge Promo Show and Tell for $33, but the Japanese Iros was priced at English market value. I didn't notice any spectacular deals among the regularly priced cards, and even though the set had already bottomed out in the US, Peter Parker's camera was still way overpriced here. There was bulk for recent sets and then a bit of bulk for each color beyond that. I did find a fair amount of English, but ultimately nothing I really needed. Time for another big Magic, and this one is right across from the Akihabara Station's south exit. The building is full of card shops, but most of them don't have Magic. Even the one with Magic in the name isn't just Magic. It's another good mix of Japanese and English with Force of Will at market price, Wanderwine Prophets for $10, Decree of Silence for $5, Exquisite Blood and Hatred for $27 each, and Yawgmoth's Bargain for just $7. Again, there's a case dedicated to foils and alternate arts for collectors, and they had entire decks available, like Standard Dimir Midrange for $330. They had quite possibly the best collection of boosters I've seen in Japan. I'd say it was 70% Japanese and 30% English, and they had older sets like Scourge for $17, Portal for $27, Plane Shift for $13, Mirage for $60, Exodus for $66, Alliances for $50, Portal 3 Kingdoms for $266 in English, Antiquities for $665, and apparently even Unlimited for 1,000,000 yen or $6,650. There were some bulk boxes right on top of the booster case, but to save time, I figured I'd just search up a few cards on the iPad. The cards I found were priced about the same as other shops, with some of my more expensive targets just $1 or $2 cheaper than in the US. Now, on the top floor of this building, way up above the maid cafes, is Haruya Akihabara. The sign makes me so happy. This is actually the first Haruya I ever went to in Japan, and it's a bit small, but it's nostalgic. I say that as if it wasn't just a year ago. The selection here was a bit thin, which isn't surprising for a well-known shop in one of Tokyo's busiest districts for card shops. Most of what I saw in the cases was near market price, and the PC inventory was no different. It was really, really busy in there, so I didn't even bother checking the bulk before I left. The last shop is a bit further from the rest, but they actually commented on my last Japan video asking me to come by, so I had to check it out. It's in this building, and it's called Tokyo MTG. Right away, it feels really calm. Since it's away from the center of Akihabara, it's quieter and more spacious, and they even encourage sharing online. Seems like they definitely understand the impact of social media marketing. Right up front, they have custom Commander decks, which I've never seen in a shop in Japan before. They were all bracket 2 decks ranging from $43 to $76, and like I said before, Commander is only recently starting to pick up steam in Japan, so this is pretty cool to see. They had a whole case dedicated to signed cards and artist proofs, and I'm not sure how this stuff is normally priced, but if you're into it, they have it. There was another case full of booster boxes. Nemesis was $532, Apocalypse was $632, Plane Shift was $599, Scourge was $565, Darksteel $930, Champions of Kamigawa $838, an Odyssey Tournament Pack for $43, and a 4th edition starter deck for $465 for some reason. And then there were single boosters of all kinds of old sets, like Prophecy for $18 and Apocalypse for $12. They had a full uncut OTJ foil rare and mythic print sheet priced at $531. No idea what that's worth, but it's cool to see in person. In the singles cases, they had Recruiter of the Guard well above market price, but the Amonkhet Masterpiece Aven Mind Sensor was $10 below market. Other staples were priced a bit above US market value, but this Valgavoth, Karlach, and Delighted Halfling were a few bucks below market value. I didn't realize Craterhoof had cratered in value recently. I thought this $12 copy was a steal, but I guess that's just market price now. The original PTK print of 3 visits was $45, which is like half of what it would cost in this condition back home, and the Japanese version was just $14. I checked the PC for some cards I was still looking for, but the English versions of most of them were out of stock. I did find a few cheaper creatures I wanted for my Reanimator deck, so I added them to the cart and submitted a $1 order. Okay, overall, I forgot my umbrella, I have to go back up. Overall, very, very cool shop. Lots of really unique stuff. Artist print, I mean, just like a collection. Like, you can tell that the owner is someone who loves Magic and likes collecting everything around Magic, and I think that's really cool. So definitely worth checking out. There is one more shop. It's a yellow submarine in Akihabara, but it's like the complete opposite way of where I just walked over here. So here's some footage of me looking for Saproling tokens there a year ago. It's one of the bigger yellow submarine shops I've been to, and definitely worth a look, but I wouldn't have made it there before closing this time. There are obviously a lot more card shops around Tokyo, and both Shinjuku and Shibuya have a few shops each. In general, you can search Google Maps for the big brands like Haruya, Yellow Submarine, and Amenity Dream, and you'll find shops all over the country. Using the Wizards event locator is also a great way to find shops. Just make sure you search for Magic events, because searching for stores will include shops that carry Duel Masters, but not Magic. I'd really encourage you to explore and search up shops that I didn't go to, because you never know what you might find, and getting lost in Japan is a rite of passage for any visitor. I just missed the train, that's okay. That wraps up our whirlwind tour of card shops here in Tokyo. I have been at it for 8 hours, 9 hours straight. I'm exhausted, I'm starving, I'm gonna go get something to eat, but if you wanna see more card shops here in Japan, check out this video right over here. And if you wanna see the deck that I built while I was going through all of this bulk, check out the video over here, if it's up yet. If not, check out another deck over here. Card shops, deck, food.